Well, baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
But the Negro Leagues, they are alive today.
Let's
gentlemen.
go. Let's go.
They're alive today. Josh Gibson's name is trending. I mean, if you ask him, he'd be like, I don't know what the fuck Twitter is. He has no idea. But his name was trending yesterday with this announcement of an announcement, because the official announcement is coming today. Yes.
Yes.
So we had our old dear friend Bob Nightingale, and people often ask me, man, why do you still have his notifications on? It's like, because you know what? Every once in a while, Bob comes through with something big. That's why. Yesterday, USA Today's Bob Nightingale, the Negro League statistics will be incorporated into Major League Baseball's historical records on Wednesday, which is today, the day that we are recording this. So to kind of paint the picture here, because I think there's maybe a little bit of confusion, but I don't know how much confusion there should be. What this means is Gibson is MLB's new all-time career leader in batting average.
Yeah.
So that's 372, moving ahead of Ty Cobb. Slugging percentage, 718, moving ahead of Babe Ruth. OPS, 1177, moving ahead of Babe Ruth. And holds the all-time single-season records in each of those categories. And a lot more, too. I mean, this is not the only ripple effect here, but I am all for erasing Babe Ruth from history. This is amazing. This is probably the best thing that ever could have happened to me.
Is Josh Gibson being appreciated or another man's demise? But I just want you to be specific.
Both. Well, I mean, as an owner of two different Josh Gibson jerseys, I'm a fan of Josh Gibson. So it's a big day for me. As someone who wants to see Babe Ruth erased from history, it's a double whammy big day for me. So I'm excited on both fronts, for being honest.
Yeah, well, it's a great day. I don't know that the erasure or potential erasure of an icon.
Well, it's happening.
Is what I would be celebrating. But look, you do you. You know, I would probably choose to celebrate something else with this announcement.
I am celebrating that. Yeah.
But it's not unlike you. No, I wouldn't. I am.
Yeah. It's all under the same umbrella. Yeah. It's about time that when you hear Josh Gibson's name, it's not like, yeah, but he played in that other league, though. Yeah, because he didn't have an opportunity to play in Major League Baseball. He didn't have the choice.
Yeah.
There was no opportunity to get called up to the big leagues. He did not have that opportunity, but in the league in which he did play, he was the best of the best. And here's the one point that needs to stand alone today for the people that are confused about this or are opposed to this, is that the competition in the Negro Leagues was arguably better than the competition in Major League Baseball at the time.
Well,
so when you say, oh, like he did it in this league, but he didn't do it in Major League Baseball, it's like, well, the competition was better and he was doing it over there. So you shouldn't have an issue with his statistics being recognized over here.
Well, and that's been one of the, like, I'll be honest, hearing a lot of conversations around the ballpark with this announcement. I heard a lot of talk just like that. And what I wonder if people realize is, do you kind of realize what that's saying about your perspective on people? Like, oh, how could they have possibly have gotten together and had a better something than what was already established? There's no way that could have been possible, right? So of course it's cool that they performed, but I mean, was it against Major League competition? And aren't we having the same discussions? Don't you, Jared, fight the same fight when it comes to a fellow by the name of Babe Ruth? Oh, he was facing fucking milkmen and he was facing So as far as I'm concerned,
73 mile an hour dick balls. That's what he was seeing.
So as far as I'm concerned, like, that argument falls flat. And I I understand that there's nuance to it, and you might want to argue like detailed overall talent in this league compared to, look, you go have that argument. You go ahead and fight that fight. I understand that individuals were simply not allowed to do what other individuals were allowed to do. And so what they did in the face of that was create a space for themselves, shut out Rube Foster, create a space for themselves where they could compete, where they could play the fucking game. And they did. And you're shocked that they kept records? Like what? It was baffling to me to hear a lot of the takes when this came across, because I just kind of sat back and was like, I don't know if these people even realize the shit they're saying and like how it makes you look.
Obviously, from a headline perspective, I think the Josh Gibson stuff and him usurping Barry Bonds in particular categories and Ty Cobb in other categories was the headline grabbing thing from this announcement, right? And that's what brought a lot of people in as far as interest goes. But I think for me, and I am interested in that stuff, and I'm fascinated that Willie Mays gets credit for X number of more hits and stuff like that, and
10 more hits, yeah,
and how that's going to impact record books and stuff like that. But what I'm struck by is a couple of important pieces of context and like the history of them incorporating leagues into the record books and why they considered making this change. First and foremost, like to the people who are skeptical of this development and saying that it should be its own thing or that it wasn't the major leagues or whatever comeback they have, I would just urge those people to know that things like the American Association and the Union Association and the Players League and the Federal League and several more were incorporated by the Special Committee in 1969 as part of Major League history. And if you don't think that the Federal League in 1914 to 1915 or the Union Association, which existed for one season
year
in 1884, if you don't think those had maybe sometimes uneven levels of competition or issues with scheduling or stuff like that or other quirks, it's not just the American League and National League as we know it today. That's not Major League Baseball history, and that's not what the record books reflect either. So I think it is more than appropriate that they've corrected this oversight, which probably should have been done at the time that these other leagues were incorporated into the Major League Baseball record book. And if it had been done in 1969, I think it would obviously feel a lot less awkward or whatever the current feeling is when you're trying to incorporate something in 2024 that happened 60 or 70 years prior. That's take number one. Take number two is that the 2020 COVID 60 game season is what according to John Thorne, who led the committee for this.
What motivated this?
That motivated the rethinking of allowing the Negro Leagues into the or integrating them into the record books was that the 60 game season happened and is part of Major League Baseball record. I found that absolutely fascinating. That's what triggered this.
Yeah, that's crazy to think that it took a truncated season, essentially because of political views, to bring you back to the point where we should also include these other people. We should also include other highly substantial league that was highly performative, that was highly successful. We should also think about including that too. Oh,
yeah. I'm not even being necessarily critical that it was that. I just am fascinated that it was, oh, wait, the 60 game season is going to be part of the record book. Well, let's reopen the case on other seasons that were not 162 games, essentially, which was part of the case against, or not 154 or whatever, the case against the Negro Leagues being incorporated. But yeah, the individual stat stuff is obviously interesting as well. I just like baseball is always that's why I think the whole asterisk conversation during the steroid era or the elevated offense era, that's why I think that sort of stuff is kind of silly and always has been, because the Major League Baseball record book is always in need of context and era adjustment and an understanding of what was happening at the time. And that's what makes it such a beautiful thing, in my opinion. And I think it is enhanced by incorporating these statistics into it as opposed to watered down or whatever.
Well, like think about paleontologists and archaeologists. Like when they're unearthing bones of dinosaurs who lived, in the Mesozoic era, who lived in the, during the Ice Age and shit. Those are different eras in our existence, and when they go back and study, they're looking at how animals lived through different eras and the impact on their environment and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's the same thing. If the Baseball Hall of Fame fancies itself the story, the physical embodiment of the story of baseball, then I don't understand how those statistics cannot be a part of the story you're telling. You are intentionally, and you have intentionally chosen to keep that separate for whatever reason.
Oh.
And that's what I was going to ask you, Jayhay, but I don't even know that I really want to ask that question because I don't know that. I mean, it's like, what has kept this? What has been the gatekeeping? What has been the sense of the gatekeeping behind not bringing these numbers together, but by not including these numbers? Like, is it literally just trying to gatekeep certain records? Like, what? Why?
I mean, I think we all know, without getting too into it, I think we all know how Major League Baseball operates, and generally that it's like moving the Titanic, turning the Titanic to get anything changed. I think this would just fall under that. And by the way, Jared, like, we're not done with this. Like the information goes on to tell you that, like, there is a huge chunk of the Negro League statistics that they are still actively researching and actively trying to pursue answers to. And that whatever percentage of that we get answers to, like, that stuff's going to be, retroactively incorporated as well. So like this is a living, breathing document, so to speak. And that's how it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah, because
Yeah, and Dallas asked about the pitching side of it in terms of like Satchel Paige stuff. I believe he will now have the third lowest single season ERA of all time. It's like 101 in 1944.
Well,
so Satchel Paige will have the third lowest single season ERA of all time. Also, what I didn't realize, this flew right over my head. I mean, we were podcasting during this time, but the MVP trophy was named after the first commissioner, and integration happened 3 years after he died. So obviously he wasn't pro integration. So in 2020, I think we obviously were focused on other things, but that was the year that they stripped his name from the MVP award. And now there is a campaign to have the MVP award named after Josh Gibson. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Which would be fucking awesome.
It'd be great. And, I'm glad you brought Satchel up because he's obviously somebody that is going to get a lot of attention and deservedly so. There's another fella that I'd like to introduce you guys to. And his name is John Donaldson. And John Donaldson could very well be the name on the greatest left-handed pitcher ever award. You could be, my friend Dontrell Willis could very well have a John Donaldson award in his cabinet instead of a Warren Spahn award. John Donaldson would instantly become third on the all-time wins list behind Walter Johnson. He would have 413 wins. He would also slide into second place on the all-time strikeout list with 5,091. And are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
He would really appreciate Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters. He would think they're awesome. He would then show Nolan Ryan the other 7 no-hitters that he threw, totaling 14, and he would probably ask Nolan which one of the 14 is his favorite. And then he would say, if those aren't attractive to you, which one of the perfect games that I threw would you like? John Donaldson instantly becomes arguably the best left-handed pitcher the game has ever seen, up there with Big Train. So he also had a 30 consecutive hitless inning streak. And so guys like this are going to be introduced to baseball fans everywhere who have never heard about guys like this. Not only have they never heard of them, they're going to be blown away when they hear some of the numbers that I just threw out there. Like that's like, could you imagine living in a world where all you've grown up with and hearing about, if you were, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, stories from guys of yesteryear, it's Warren Spahn, it's Walter Johnson, these great left-handed pitchers, and then this dude shows up. And you're like, oh, how come I wasn't told about this guy? And you know what else I think I like? I haven't dove into this, and I don't know that the numbers are going to be, maybe eye-popping to the Ohtani extent, but Martin Diego, like that dude's going to get some love. We start talking about the two-way players, that dude's going to get some love. Rube Foster is going to get some love when we talk about how did we get here, and you start to really dive into the leagues and how this all came about. So I'm all about this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's crazy that we've had this conversation about the Negro Leagues without even mentioning Jackie Robinson one time.
Well, look here. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like this dude, John Donaldson, like, please, if you're listening to this, spend 15 minutes when you're done with this episode and just dive into John Donaldson. This dude's name is John Famous Donaldson. Tug McGraw, Jared, tried to pay this dude $10,000 to go down to Cuba and reinvent himself, ditch his name, create another one, and sort of circumvent the segregation laws and come as a Cuban. And he was like, sorry, dog, ain't happening. I'm John Donaldson. I'm not fucking Jose Donaldson. It's not happening.
Right.
I'm that dude. And so he's
not happening.
And so then he took him and his homies and rolled around the United States, barnstorming like a lot of guys did back then, and made fucking scratch. But his name was John Famous Donaldson. And the idea is, without him, there's no entertainment, right? There's no performative aspect to what these guys are doing. And he is credited for inspiring Satchel Paige, who's credited for you know what I mean? Like, so the lineage just goes on. And they say, you're in love with the name Jackie Robinson, there's a chance you never hear it if it's not for guys like this.
Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see, like, kind of if the official announcement provides even more context, or at least more information. Like, give me like a stat pack with this announcement. Give me more information that I guess you wouldn't know unless you went thumbing through the record books on your own and did your own statistical exploration, which, lucky for us, we have Justin Havens on board. So, I mean, if the announcement doesn't want to do it, we'll get it eventually.
We got a pro nerd.
Yeah. Yeah. We have the nerd. We don't just have a nerd.
Yeah.
We have the nerd.
Yeah, not just some nerd you found on the street.
No.
Right.
Go.
Right. So that is something that maybe we will revisit tomorrow on the Thursday episode, the Family Feud episode tomorrow. But yeah, no, exciting news. Very pumped about that. And, it's just cool to see younger baseball fans like discover these guys for the first time. And even for someone like me that's been familiar with the names, it's like you don't really get to see them brought to
life,
the forefront, like get the spotlight, be highlighted. Like, I want to see over the off season. Actually, I'll try and see if I can find the text message, because I will share the recommendations with you guys.
While you're,
I
it?
I texted Passon on January 4th, and I said, "What's the best book that you know of about the history of the Negro Leagues?" And he sent me two recommendations. The first one, Only the Ball Was White: A History of Legendary Black Players and All Black Professional Teams, and Shades of Glory: The Negro Leagues and the Story of African American Baseball. Those recommendations from Jeffrey Passon. So check those out if this stuff interests you.
I would also say, if I don't know how this would happen, but if you listen to this podcast and you play video games, there's a solid chance you've played MLB The Show. If for some reason you're in the space where that hasn't happened, you need to go back and you need to buy last year's version. And if you know somebody that has it, you need to go and play it with them. I told this story last year when it popped up. MLB The Show, the greatest thing that they've ever done in this game, the greatest addition they've ever made to this game was the Negro League storylines opportunity to be able to play through the through the levels of these players, unlocking these players. But when you do, every single player has stories that are narrated by Negro League president Bob Kendrick, who's a fucking incredible storyteller. And so every time you level up, every time you achieve your goals as you're playing these games, he comes up as the new stage is loading and he tells you a beautiful story, an awesome story, insightful little stories about who these guys are, the shit they were going through. And I made my wife sit down and fucking watch each and every one of those with me. Like, I'm playing this and you're going to watch this. This is how, this is just something you need to have in your life. And she was like, dude, thank you at the end of it. And they have it again this year. So please, and even if you can't do that, just find a YouTube channel that has it, because it's awesome. Awesome.
I still haven't been to the museum. It's in Kansas City,
Correct.
right? Yeah, I've never been to Kansas City.
Dude.
I've never been to Kaufman. I know it's one of the ballparks I want to check off.
Well, you gotta do that. Like if you want to do that, we got to make that a trip. We got to make that a trip. I could talk to Mr. Kendrick and we'd have a tour set up. We'd be locked in.
I would love to do that.
Done deal.
Jayhay?
Oh, 100%.
Have you been, Jayhay?
I have, but I would love to go again.
Yeah. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, it was like 10 years
We
ago.
can go see Jeff Passan, Kansas City. We can have Passan tag along with us. Well, hopefully we're recording this early on Wednesday, so I don't expect the announcement to be during the podcast, but if it does, then we'll circle back. The MLB season is in full swing, and Underdog Fantasy wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Make entries of all baseball. Or you can mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Jayhay, are you aware of any Paul Skenes, maybe Jared Jones promos going on today? Do you know of?
I believe we have over under Paul Skenes pitch count today. Is that true?
Oh,
yeah, I believe it's over under 0.5.
So he just has to throw one pitch and you're a winner. Just got to throw one pitch and you're a winner.
I like the odds.
Make sure that you sign up with the promo code Jared, Jared, and you will get up to $250 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That is Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Download the app right now. Apparently, if we're doing promos like that, like what are we doing? Why don't you have the Underdog app? You gotta do it.
If that's a part of it, like that needs to be your lock screen. That needs to be your wallpaper. Is how do I get to the Paul Skenes over on half a pitch?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What an electric day.
Okay. Big day. I wish we had Joe on for this episode because as you may have heard, Angel Hernández has up and retired. He's just done. Fuck it. I'm out of here. The timing is very peculiar. Joe drops this video on his YouTube channel, Baseball Doesn't Exist. And it is a Angel Hernández propaganda piece, but in the process of being like highlighting he's not the worst. Yeah. You still have to say, like, I understand he sucks and he's very bad at his job, but he's not the worst. he's not the worst. Like we did a bit about that on Section 10 in 2018 because I think like Luis Severino went on a stretch where he had like the second worst ERA in baseball. We're like, yeah, he sucks, but he's not the worst. He's there are worster. He's got a 6.59, but it's not a 6.70. Things could be worse. And I feel like I don't think that's what Joe is trying to do with this video, but that's definitely how it comes across is like, come on, guys. Like, he's not the worst, but it's like, yeah, like, but he's, I don't know, like 10 away from being the worst. Yeah. Like, he's still bad. I don't know.
Well, I think it helps confirm all of your thoughts and feelings and opinions, but then it also maybe tries to reel you in and say, look, he's still human, like you still find a soft spot in your heart for Angel, can't you? Like, aside from the balls and strikes and the safe and outs and the fairs and fouls, like he still bleeds just like you, doesn't he? I think that's maybe where Joe was coming from. Because I had to say it, I said it on air during the broadcast. I was like, I think, and I even gave Joe some love, told fans, hey, go check out the video because it'll give you some perspective. It'll let you know, it'll remind you that in this game, we have the human element.
Nobody's perfect.
No, nobody's perfect. And I said this, and I'm not sure we talked, but baseball, I think before too long we'll realize that they miss Angel Hernandez. Baseball.
What makes you say that, Dallas?
Well, what have we clamored about when we heard replay was coming, right? Auto balls and strikes, and everybody's like, oh, the human element. I want to be able to see the manager lose their shit. I want the manager to be able to voice their... Okay. So if that's the case, are we just going to forget about and erase the 20 plus years of grand theater that Angel Hernandez has provided baseball with? Like, that's just gone now. Gone. Like your Angel joke is going to fall flat at some point in time. And it is because he's not going to be here any longer, endearing himself to the baseball fans that for so long have used him, justifiably so at times, as a punching bag. So he's that lovable character that is like, hey, you're going to have to find somebody else to squeeze because I'm fucking out. I'm done with this. Not happening anymore.
You didn't see me celebrate his retirement. I didn't celebrate it. I saw people, all kinds of celebration memes and tweets all over baseball Twitter. None from me, sir.
Yeah, I said
none from me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's, the best umpire I've ever seen. He's not. But it's the same reason why I said I don't want robot umps is because I like when players freak out. Like that's one of my that brings excitement. Like that during a game, if you're 2 hours and 15 minutes into the game and it's been pretty uneventful, like there's been no homers or crazy catches or throwing guys out or anything like that, something that can get the crowd going in a way that those things can is a shitty call and your best player losing his shit and throwing his helmet and an umpire getting in the manager's face. Like that's part of the excitement of the game. Like you may not be happy with the call, you may lose the game because of it, but at least you had an exciting moment to watch while you were there.
Yeah, that's why I said like the theater that he has provided. I think people quickly blow past that, and they're like, "Yeah, balls and strikes though." And blah. Like, have you guys heard the Will Clark story about Angel Hernandez? His interaction with Angel?
No.
So it's early in his career, and Will Clark takes a pitch outside. And it's a strike, and he says he turns around. He asks Angel, "Hey, is that as far as he can go out there today?" And Angel's like, "Yeah, it's about as far." Okay. Next pitch, Will says is like 6 inches out, farther than that one. Fuck, strike 2. He's like, I turn around like, "Angel, what the fuck? It's a fucking foot outside. What do you mean?" And he said, Angel turned around to him and was like, "Yeah, well, you know what? That ball moved on me. I got to be honest. That ball kind of moved on me." And Will's like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. So later that night, he says he ends up seeing Angel and maybe some of the umpires out at the bar. And, he says, "I'm sitting back, just kind of watching." He orders a few drinks, said, "So I decided that I was going to pay for a few of his beers." So he sent the tab over. "Hey, I want to take care of those guys, their beers." No problem. So he says, locked eyes with Angel, went over, said hello, said, hey, man, see you at the ballpark tomorrow. Have a great day. Good talking to you. And he said, Angel asked him, is that all you got for me? Is that all you're going to say? And Will said his response was, yep, that's all I got, man. Have a great night. See you at the ballpark tomorrow. And then Will Clark went on to say, from that day on, my strike zone was about the size of a fucking keyhole. And he said he did this on a video, and he said, from that day on, my strike zone was about that fucking big. And then Eric Burns responds with, well, that's great, but that's also why Angel's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you know what? That is true. Like, every portion of that is true. That is the shit that happens in baseball all of the time that you don't hear about until later down the road. But you can understand why certain players, certain people would love the idea of that, right? Like, are you telling me that for the price of a few beers, you could buy yourself a better strike zone? I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you it's worth a shot.
It's worth a shot. Yeah.
And
didn't Joe West like sue Paul LaDuca for basically saying the same thing publicly? Like, I forget what the exchange was, but didn't he say he like bought him a car or something like that? And I forget the fucking story, but I think he sued the shit out of Paul LaDuca.
Yeah, look that up. You'll find it. Yeah, but that like that interaction, I think, is stuff that fans are curious about. They want to know, does this happen? Yes, shit like that happens all of the time. Like those interactions. I'm not saying that umpires across the board are open season and just hanging out at the bar waiting for somebody to buy themselves a strike zone. That's not what's happening.
Yeah. So yeah. Umpire Joe West awarded $500,000 in defamation suit against former All-Star Paul LaDuca. Joe West's suit claimed that LaDuca said during a podcast that when the player was catching Billy Wagner during a New York Mets game against the Philadelphia Phillies in 2006 or 2007, West called 3 straight batters out on strikes. The umpire said that LaDuca claimed Wagner told him the reason he got the calls was the pitcher had allowed West to drive his 1957 Chevy.
So, did we ever have it confirmed whether or not Joe West drove the Chevy?
Well, West's suit said LaDuca was ejected 8 times in his career and only once by West. The umpire denied any favoritism and said Wagner did not pitch in the only Mets-Phillies game that West worked behind the plate during 2006 and 2007. So it couldn't have happened.
That's fine.
Yeah. We don't know about if he drove the Chevy or not. There's no pictures of Joe West just driving down the street in a 1957 Chevy or
all
anything.
we need to hear is a no from Joe. No, I never drove it. Why haven't we heard the no?
We haven't heard the no. But for the time frame that was given during the story, Joe West did not have home plate for a game that Billy Wagner pitched for a Mets-Phillies game. So maybe he just got his story mixed up with the years and the context, and that cost him a quick $500,000. But there's, as far as I can see here, there's no denial that he actually drove the car. Yeah. I hope he had fun. But for Angel Hernández, he umpired the 1999, 2009, and 2017 All-Star games, the division series, plenty of division series, 97, 98, 02, 05, 09, 11, 12, 15, 17, 18. The 18 one was fucking horrendous. I don't know if you remember that one. That was Red Sox Yankees, where he blew like 5 calls in the first 5 innings, and they were all reviewed and overturned. Like he just all of them.
That
yeah,
ball's
that was
moving on me.
Yeah, I think that was ALDS game 3. Yeah, no, 4, the clincher, right? No. 3. It was at Yankee Stadium. I think it was game 3. The League Championship Series in 2000, 2001, 2003, 2004, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2016. Only 2 World Series, 02 and 05. It had been a minute since Angel had gotten himself into a World Series game, 2005 being the most recent, and also umpired in the World Baseball Classic in 2023.
Yep. I wonder if Angel I wonder if Angel is also of the ilk that has said here recently with older umpires, like, look, you're asking me to do a lot these days. A lot. And I think I'm kind of over all that responsibility. I'm not doing that. I'm done.
Listen, he was paid to go away.
You think so?
They broke him off a chunk to go away. And
Sure.
I would be the last person in the world that would ever criticize anybody that Major League Baseball paid to go away. So I come down on a similar side of this as you guys. I view it as like the managers. When they started phasing out the interesting managers and started replacing them with the Brad Ausmus types, I think everybody was like, oh, analytically inclined, we'll see smarter game management. More or less what we saw was a less entertaining product, right? We saw marginally, but a little less entertaining without the big time managerial personalities. And I think to your guys' point, fans just want somebody to be mad at. And Angel Hernandez was a great target for that. And, maybe CB will step up and kind of take
Laz Diaz.
Yeah, take the crown. The most recognizable umpire is a thing, right? It was Joe West, and then it was Angel Hernandez, and now we'll see who takes that throne. And undoubtedly, I think it's in the best interest of everybody if that person is really quite bad at their job.
I enjoy Laz. I thoroughly enjoy Laz.
Laz is the reason why the Red Sox didn't go to the World Series in 2021.
I like him.
We still talk about Eric Gregg. Rest in peace, obviously. Yeah. But like,
Jayhay,
that guy's famous because to the degree that he is famous because it features like some of the worst calls that you will ever see on video.
Ever. It's
one of my favorite videos on YouTube to just I think like once or twice a year I go pull it up. It's like painful to watch because of what I know that Livon then went on to do to Cleveland. But like, it's that Brave stuff in the NLCS is just, it is, honestly, it's a fucking work of art. It's a work of art.
Jayhay, it's one of my favorite videos to show young guys, rookies, because they have no fucking clue. They've never seen anything like that. They have never heard
Fred
Eric
McGriff
Gregg's
stuff
name.
is the best, where he's
oh
just
my
like,
God. Yeah.
Because he's lefty too, so it like makes it even, and it's just like.
And you're watching Charles Johnson back there sway into the right-handed batter's box to catch curveballs. Ha! No. Yeah, but how about this, Jay? I just thought about this. At our time together at ESPN and our time together working with this individual, at any point in time, did you have him becoming arguably the most entertaining manager in baseball in Aaron Boone?
Well, no. The most entertaining part about Booney is the impressions that he does, and he doesn't really.
Well, he can't.
Those don't really translate to the managerial pressers.
No, but in terms of like savages in the box and the fucking theatrics at home plate, like give me another manager right now that is performing at that level.
And by the way, like Aaron Boone is someone that Yankee fans have called for his firing every
Yes.
year since he started managing. But routinely, you will see his own players be like, I fucking love this guy. Like even like this year, you've had Alex Verdugo come in, first year player for the Yankees. He's blowing Booney. Marcus Stroman, he's like, this is the only manager I'd rather play for the rest of my career. He's Judgy's right-hand man. Like he's got a job for life there if he wants it.
How many managers have longer tenure than he does? I was going to pull that up, but just off the top of my head. There can't be. There
Kevin
cannot be
Cash.
many.
Kevin Cash.
Yeah, now that Frank
Cash,
Cona's
yeah.
gone.
Mm-hmm. Kevin Cash should be
That's
the
gotta
only one.
it.
And well, off the top of my head.
Cora's equal to.
What about
besides
Dave Roberts?
He took off the COVID.
Oh
year.
yeah, D-Rob.
When did he start? 16? 17? It might be by a year. Dave Roberts started
15.
managing
16. He was
Ah.
15 with the Padres, 16 with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So, yep, it's just a lost art. It's a lost art. CB Buckner, we need you, buddy. Step up. Start doing some dumb shit. Who's gonna step up and do the dumbest shit in the umpires union? Laz Diaz. Who's the dude the other day that left the mic on?
Oh fuck. I know who it is. Short guy.
Why do you think you did?
Jeff Nelson?
Short, dude.
No, it's not Jeff Nelson.
No, Alan Porter.
Alan Porter. Alan Porter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's there's a big list. Phil Cuzzy.
Alan Porter. A lot of folks not a big fan of Alan Porter. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, Ron Culpa? Fuck him, dude. Ron Culpa, he's the worst. Ron Culpa, not a good umpire. Laz Diaz sucks. Angel Hernandez is retired. Rest in peace.
Oh, it was Alan Porter, but Alan
Like,
Porter
if you-
is not the. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, if these names stand out, then it's not like a lot of these names don't stand out. Like, that's good. Paul Emmel? No, it's really just about Chris Guccione.
Gooch. You sure it was Alan Porter? It wasn't Adrian Johnson?
No, positive.
no, it was Alan Porter. He was right.
Okay.
Just accept it.
Well, no. What I was going to say is because Adrian is the one that I meant that folks not a big fan of.
Oh, so do you want to issue an official apology to Alan Porter and his family?
I
or-
would- I would like to-
slandering Alan Porter for no reason.
I would like to take this time to issue an official
Jesus Christ,
certified
dude.
apology to Alan Porter.
God,
Is Wolfie not active anymore?
Alan Porter was about to join the Bob Garins of the world.
Yeah, Wolfie's still pumping.
All right, I don't see him on this list, but I don't know.
What, of active umpires?
Yeah.
I've got to
Maybe
believe
he's not
still.
active. Have you seen him this
Well,
season, Dallas?
I feel like I have.
No, we have.
Oh, no, he's here. He's here. He's the very last
That
name.
makes sense.
Jim
Might be
Wolf.
alphabetical.
That fucking does make sense, Jayhay.
Jesus. You just got to keep scrolling, bro. Just
Yeah.
keep scrolling.
If you get to
You'll
the
get
bottom,
to the bottom of the list where Wolfie is.
there he is. There he is. Bruce Dreckman? What are these?
So
You'll
Just
find
scroll
him
back up.
under. You'll find him in the
Yeah.
D's.
Right around the
right in the D
just
section,
after
yeah.
C.
Just right below Rob Drake and right before Doug Eddings here.
Hey, you've really mastered how this list works, I think.
You're fucking
Yep.
nailing this right now.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah, a lot of these. Alfonso Marquez, is he the one that always has like the huge wad
Yeah,
in his mouth?
yeah. He's
Like,
he's
it looks like he has a fucking bowling ball
Yeah.
in his jaw.
he's cool too. I like Alfonso.
He seems cool. I can't remember ever being upset with him. Tony Randazzo.
Tony.
A lot of Ginzos in the umpires union. Hey, Tony Randazzo. Who's the other
You
one?
got Dan Iasonia, you got Guccione, you got Angel.
Yeah. Yeah. Phil Cuzzy.
Phil Cuzzy,
hey.
yeah, fucking Cuz.
I don't
Hey.
think Angel is Italian, though.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
so.
No,
just
but it
wanted to
plays.
clean
Like
that
if you
up.
just say the name like
Yeah,
that,
it plays.
just let it go, Jay.
Yeah. 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 A lot of Italian blood here in the umpires union. Yeah. Well, any final words on Angel Hernandez?
Congratulations.
Yeah, no. That's it.
Congrats on a great career to Angel Hernandez. We were last episode, I believe I kind of put it out to the Gravediggers being like, stop complaining that we didn't talk about the thing that you want us to talk about after the fact. Put in a request. Consider us your baseball DJs. What song do you want to hear? And, I put out to the people, if there's something you want us to talk about on the podcast, please speak now or forever hold your peace. A lot of fans reached out and they're like, you got to talk about the Dodgers struggling. Got to talk about the Dodgers struggling. And, how do they fix it? What's going on with the Dodgers? Well, since then, I believe at the time they had lost 5 straight.
5.
They've won 2 straight now since then. So I mean,
I have a response to that because I understand why people want to
be like, yeah, let's break it down.
I
ahead, Jay.
generally speaking, it just doesn't matter really because none of the teams
They're still going to win the division by many.
None
games.
of the teams that's exactly right. None of the teams in the division are going to make them pay for a losing streak like that. So unless the bottom completely falls out, which it doesn't look like it's going to, and honestly, it would be kind of hard to see how it would with the kind of baseline level of talent that they have and how they've played while dealing with, a fair bit of injuries or availability issues already, at least on the pitching side. Like, I just don't see how it's ultimately going to matter. If you want to talk that they need to address this and this and this as World Series contenders, that's a different conversation. But like a 5-game losing streak or, a stretch where they lose 7 out of 10 in late May to early June is just like, okay, if they were in the AL East, maybe it would be a different conversation, or the NL East, but they're not. And unless you can sell me on the Giants or the Padres in a way that nobody's been able to so far, even though they have also played better of late, particularly since the last podcast, I just don't see how it's really that big.
No, and during that 5-game streak, you don't close the gap. No other team was able to close the gap. Like, that's like you said, you're not taking advantage of the lulls. There's nothing about what the Dodgers are experiencing right now that should scare you. No. I mean, you're getting the starting pitching performances that you're getting are high quality. The lineup speaks for itself. Like, it is quite literally cruise control. We'll check in September and see what we have to do, because we'll have a really good idea of who our competitors are at that point and go from there.
Well, and relatively
the only
speaking,
way that this,
go ahead, Jared.
I was just going to say, the only way that this becomes concerning to me is if it's in September. If you're kind of sputtering into the postseason,
right,
then it's concerning. But here in late May, when the only object is to get into the postseason and you're pretty much already punched your ticket there as division champions, like it's just not going to happen for any other team. It's not something that I'm super concerned with at all.
They're also enduring, relatively speaking, some pretty kind of a fallow stretch for Mookie and Ohtani. Mookie has picked it up over the last couple of games, but like his last month has not been tremendous, and Ohtani's last 15, 20 games have been his worst baseball of the season. So if you're already getting that kind of stuff out of the way, because I think we're all on the same page that they'll bounce back to MVP caliber performance sooner than later, then again, what are we specifically concerned about? And we know that the Dodgers will address that if it's that big of a concern anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the Padres have the second most wins in that division with a +13 run differential. Giants -14. I just don't know that either one of those two teams, and I mean, the Diamondbacks, they're sitting at a +1. I just don't know that anything about any one of those 3 teams threatens the Dodgers, even during this downturn, even during a little bit of a struggle.
So basically, quit your bitching, Dodger fans. Just sit there and shut up. And watch your super team.
Take your wins and like it.
Yeah. Enjoy your division championship that is inevitably coming, and you have nothing to worry about until the playoffs start.
Yeah.
I think for everything that was said about the Dodgers coming into the season, I think we could all pencil them in as division champions. But just because you add Yamamoto and Ohtani, which I know is just because you had these two guys, like, yeah, like you added a shitload of talent for $1 billion in two players. Yes. But that doesn't, I mean, no one was sitting here saying guaranteed World Series. Even Dodger fans at this point, no one, like analysts, fans, and even the Dodgers themselves, if they were showing up to spring training, none of them were like, man, we're going to win the World Series this year.
I'm also not, we can't overlook the conversation on this podcast in the offseason, even after the Ohtani signings and the Glasnow trade and extension and all that, like the conversation was that this team is a work in progress and that we may not see the best version of the Dodgers, particularly the pitching side, until later in the season. And we can't pretend on May 29th, or the fans can't pretend on May 29th, like that wasn't the situation. Like Glasnow has been awesome, probably even better than anybody could have hoped. I mean, he's fully delivering. He's a Cy Young contender. The rest of the rotation, and Yamamoto has been very good as well, but like we knew that Walker Buehler would be working his way back. We knew that Clayton Kershaw wouldn't be back until much, much later in the season, kind of if at all sort of thing. We knew that they were dealing with injury issues to, the Mays and the Gonsolins of the world and stuff like that. And now Bobby Miller's sidelined and they're still dealing with that. So it's like, yeah, if the pitching staff is still semi in shambles outside of Glasnow and Yamamoto entering the postseason, I think you can have some level of anxiety, but there's a lot of time for them to get healthier, a lot of time for them to figure that kind of stuff out internally or externally. And the offense, to me, even with kind of the lower half issues, the floor is just so high that, I just, you just,
well, and if you're taking, and Jay, if you're looking at the way that the three guys at the top of this rotation are throwing the ball, and you could even throw Paxton in there as well. Like if you take them right now and we fast forward into a 7-game set, you don't like what you get? I think everybody likes what they're getting. I think you love what you're getting there. And I think because of what you'll be able to rely on offensively at that point from them, if you start to think about a situation where it's Phillies, Dodgers to get to the dance, I'm not telling you that the pitching side of things for the Dodgers is outweighing what the Phillies are doing, but I'm telling you that there's a good chance that the Dodgers offense could maybe outlast or outperform what the Phillies are doing at that point in time. So what you're getting here from this staff, from this early part of the rotation in the first 7 games, you would be extremely excited about. And that's not with Clayton Kershaw. That's without having the Dustin Mays. That's without having those impact arms.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of just like looking at the rest of the division here, and it's just there's no one, like I'm trying to at least look at it optimistically, like who could have, if there were to be a threat within the NL West, let's say this Dodgers skid continues for another 3 weeks, who's the most likely to pose a threat to the Dodgers atop the division? Like, is it the Padres?
I just don't know what else the Padres have to offer on the staff side of things, man.
Like, they were just they had a losing record. I mean, like this is who the Padres have been all year, though. Like they're the West Coast Red Sox. It's like there will be within 2 games of 500 on the opposite ends of the spectrum. There'll either be 2 games under, 2 games over, or somewhere in between. That's just who they are. But then again, like, they're the only team outside of the Diamondbacks with a +1 with a positive run differential. So, like, it all comes down to whose staff do you like more.
Well, that's why I was just going to say, who are you taking out of the names in that rotation? I mean, we're talking Darvish, we're talking Musgrove, we're talking
Cease.
Michael King, we're talking Dylan Cease.
Yeah, King too. Yeah.
So
yeah, you take the Padres. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm. Do you? You take the Padres. That's where
Yeah.
you're rolling. You take the Padres over what you're getting from Glasnow right now, over what you're getting from Gavin Stone.
No.
Right.
I'm saying between like the Giants.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't know you. Okay.
Yeah. Like
Well,
who poses the biggest threat if the Dodgers continue to struggle?
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I think the Giants and the Padres are functionally the same overall quality of teams.
Interchangeable performances from interchangeable places that really don't amount to much.
I know that the Padres still have some name value edges relative to the Giants, but I'm sticking with the conviction that those are 500 teams that could go 4 or so wins in either direction. And like I fundamentally don't think any of these teams are equipped to challenge the Dodgers. And if in 3 weeks, Jared's, hypothetical situation is what plays out, then, I'll apologize and we'll talk about what went wrong for the Dodgers in one of the great collapses in recent baseball history midseason.
All right. If you are interested in watching some top tier baseball today, because we're gonna probably get this podcast out early enough, or at least I would hope so. You're getting a twin billing. You're getting the Skenes Jones combo today, which we'll talk about in just a second. But if you are in the Detroit area, you're probably going to want to get some tickets to these games because Skenes is the headliner. Jones goes at 12:40. Paul Skenes goes tonight. It's a makeup game from yesterday. You're going to want to get tickets to that game. And Game Time is the place to do it because Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on Game Time actually go down the closer that you get to first pitch with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Actually, let me see if I can pull up the Game Time app right now, see what some prices are for this game. Dallas, you haven't. No, that wouldn't have happened yet for you to have the opportunity to see Skenes in person.
No, they came to town. Like I told you, I thought I was getting Paul Skenes for an early birthday present, and that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I won't get to see him in person this year unless I go to a game as a fan, which doesn't look like my schedule is going to allow that. So
no, I'm looking at some of the prices right now. $14, $15, $16, 17, 17, 18. They've got great deals. If you want to get to the game, see Skenes do his thing, you can do it for a very, very, very low price. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They have flash deals, so you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. They've got zone deals. Save even more when you choose a section. You let Game Time choose the seats for you. All in pricing. When you toggle this feature, it shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy the tickets. And of course, the lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code BID for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use the promo code BID for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Would you like to talk about that pitching matchup, Justin Havens?
Yeah, I'm just super excited about the whole thing, the whole day. I mean, it's not just Jones and Skubal, who I think, the stats back this up. It's not just my opinion. It's the idea that, like, they have, there's not likely to be a lot of hits. There's likely to be a lot of strikeouts, and there's not likely to be a lot of walks. And then to follow that up with Paul Skenes against whoever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's just obviously doubleheaders are rare in their own right, but to get that quality of pitching across the day is just, pretty awesome and something that I intend to watch. And that doesn't even get into, some of the other amazing pitchers that are pitching in other games today. Corbin Burns, and I know George Kirby hasn't pitched at the level we expect. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I just, I know people are appreciative of Houck Vs Skubal in terms of his Cy Young candidacy this year, but what he's doing is really, really special stuff. And obviously the Skenes hype speaks for itself, given that we've watched all three of his starts.
Yeah, you have an opportunity to watch a Cy Young frontrunner, as well as arguably one of the best 1-2 combinations in baseball, and potentially one of the better 1-2 combinations in baseball for a long time. And
You just call Skubal the Cy Young frontrunner? Is that what you just did?
I said a Cy Young frontrunner.
Oh, I thought you said the Cy Young frontrunner.
No,
because that's a big distinction. Did you say a or the?
Well, I meant he's a Cy Young frontrunner, so I didn't mean if I isolated him as the
Dallas,
I meant to say he's a Cy Young frontrunner.
Dallas, can there be more than one frontrunner? I feel like the frontrunner means that he's the cream of the crop.
He's one of the leading candidates.
Is this a Houck thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
it's a
yes,
fucking
of
Houck
course
thing.
It is.
Yeah, of course it is. He's better. He's better than every fucking pitcher in the league. He might be the best pitcher in baseball.
All right.
Go ahead. Tell me I'm wrong, Jayhay. Dig into your nugs right now and tell me one thing that fucking Skubal is better at than Houck.
He throws harder.
I mean, there are plenty of things that he's better at, quote unquote, but I'm not really prepared or interested in making the argument against Tanner Houck. His case is the Cy Young. I think you're right that they are both very strong candidates.
If the season ended today, Jayhay, who are you voting for?
Well, I don't want to be dismissive of the process and say that I wouldn't need more time to consider that.
All right, that's fine. It's just eyeball test, on the surface here.
The guy that we're not talking about that I think, there's a B floating around.
Mason Miller.
Don't fucking kill it.
I'm not, dude.
Don't kill it. He'll go get his boys.
I'm not killing it.
He'll go get his boys.
Seth Lugo, also
his
a guy
girls,
who probably needs
girls.
to be thrown into that conversation.
Oh, please.
I mean,
no.
All right.
We're not gonna have Seth Lugo Cy Young discourse on this show. Tanner Houck versus Skubal. The winner is Mason Miller.
I am not ready to say Mason Miller is going to win the Cy Young, or should.
I'm not saying going to. The question I asked: season ends today. Who is your American League Cy Young Award winner?
Probably one of the other guys that we just talked about, and not Mason Miller.
Houck. All right. So then, if you're picking a starter, it's Houck.
You know what? Yeah, it can be Houck. Yes. Yep.
You are pathetic.
I'm not pathetic.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
Pathetic.
That's the correct answer.
It's a coin flip between all three of those guys statistically.
Oh, please.
Here we go. The fucking pandering has reached an all-time high.
Come on.
This is pandering. I'm just moving on. Basically.
This is disgusting.
No. I got to sign up for, this is not an ad. I have to sign up for StatHead. You have to pay for this?
Yeah.
It's like the best investment anyone can make.
Do it.
I mean, no free ads, but
all right. I will talk offline. I need someone to. I'm a visual learner. You know this. You have to show me how to do something, then I can do it. You can't just be like, oh yeah, you do the beep and the bop and the boop, and there you go. Like I gotta see it.
Are you saying you're going to become pretty StatHead heavy now?
I mean, I was familiar with StatHead because I see people put out the player versus player comparisons. And I figured now is a good time as any to go Houck and Skubal here. But
I see.
Just to illustrate that Houck was better in probably every category.
Oh, okay.
Probably every single one.
No, put that out.
So if you want to do, in the meantime, if you want to pull up some StatHead and go head to head with Houck and Skubal, I'd be more than interested. Did you do it? Did you do it,
I've
Dallas?
given that to you, Jared.
Oh, okay. Please. Yeah. Let's see it.
Well, as we sit right now, Tanner Houck is sporting a WAR of 2.7. Skubal's is 2.1.
Oh, so Houck is better, you would say?
I would not say so far. He does have an extra game
You
under
would
his belt.
not
I would not say so far. I would not say so far.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
War is not the end-all be-all statistic, Jared.
No, you're right. Yeah. But so far, you would say the Houck's better?
I'm not done.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right.
He has completed 71 innings to Skubal's 60, and that's in
not even close.
In one more start.
Sure.
Yeah, where they're not.
Surely you can't throw 11 innings in one start these days. Go ahead.
Well, you can. Where they're
you could. I guess
where they're not really close is the win-loss record, and that's where Skubal blows Houck out of the water.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. The ultimate deciding factor win-loss record in Major League Baseball.
The ERA.
Yeah.
Houck has a slight advantage at 1.9 to the 2.25 of Skubal.
Ooh, that's basically half a run there, almost.
Yeah, Houck. What's maybe a little concerning here is
striking out too many batters.
Maybe not quite enough. Really, it's not even a batter an inning, and I think that can be jarring. That could be okay. Yeah, that could be. I don't know.
That can be jarring.
I don't know if that's sustainable for a side. I'm just
sure.
We start.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So how
many strikeouts? 70 innings. How many strikeouts?
71 innings, Jared.
71 innings. How many strikeouts?
Just 69.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's a fair concern. That's a fair concern. How many strikeouts for Skubal?
Well, it's 60 innings for Skubal and 72 strikeouts. Right?
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so he's got him there for strikeouts per nine. He's got him there.
Okay,
that's the first time he's eclipsed him in any category.
K percentage.
What else you got though?
K percentage as well, 31% for Skubal.
Yeah,
just a 24% for Houck. It's so really not comparable. And then the walks, right? The walk rate. Tanner Houck with an astronomical 4.6, and Tarek Skubal with a minimalist 4.3. So I mean,
let's see the home runs per nine. Because Houck hasn't given up one since fucking the Vietnam War.
Yep.
What's the homers per nine, Dallas? I believe he has the best mark in Major League Baseball.
Tanner Houck has a 0.1. Yeah. Homers per nine compared to the 0.6.
Feels low.
0.6 for Skubal.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So Tanner Houck's allowing cool. foul ball homers.
What about the whip? The whip.
I'm gonna give you an opportunity to ask a different question if you want.
Okay. Do you have ground ball percentage? No, probably not.
Not right off top. I do not.
Okay.
No, but
that's fine.
I can tell you who.
What a win probability added. You got that?
I can't tell you who's made more quality starts.
I don't care about quality starts.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear.
I'm sure Houck is leading in that, but I just don't care. Like it's, the threshold for excellence for me is higher than 6 innings and 3 earned runs. 6 innings and 3 on this pitching staff, the Red Sox pitching staff, 6 innings and 3 earned runs is a failure. That's Bayo shit. Houck shit is like 7 innings, 1 run, 0 runs.
Yeah. So like Tarek Skubal, all he does, I guess, is he allows fewer hits than Houck. He punches more people out than Houck. He allows fewer base runners than Houck. He strikes more.
But does he allow fewer runners? I mean, fewer
runners
to score.
Yes, Jared, he does. Like, he allows
fewer
on average
runs to score.
He allows fewer
at the
walks,
end of the day,
hits
I
per
believe
innings
the
pitched.
Sport is
what Skubal
the game
does.
is to allow fewer runs than your opponent, which
for
is
sure
what Houck does better. Yeah, which Houck does better.
Yeah, but I mean that's just not all the responsibility.
Yeah, no, You have to allow fewer base runners because that would give you the chance to allow fewer runs, right? But at the end of the day, if you allow fewer runs, and that's really all that matters, and that's what Houck does, is he allows fewer runs than anybody.
So now that I've laid out
just anybody.
Now that I've laid out the statistics, Jay, do you have anything to say about your Cy Young pick?
Ready for George Kirby to have a big day.
Wow,
he was my Cy Young pick.
Wow, so you're going off the grid here.
He just asked me about my Cy Young pick, and I said I'm ready for
Dallas
him to have a big day.
Fucking
the
mucus monster off screen right now. Sounds like you could use some Claritin, buddy. Claritin. Sounds like you can use some Claritin. By the way, shout out to Claritin for supporting this episode and providing us with samples. Dallas is on the road, so I'm assuming he didn't bring his Claritin with him because he usually travels light. He travels light because he has to save room for the 30 boxes of tissues that he brings with him on the road. Luckily, for those of us who live with symptoms of allergies, we can live Claritin Clear with Claritin D. It's designed for serious allergy sufferers. Oh, there it is.
Let's go.
Yeah, okay.
That's right, baby.
It's designed for serious allergy sufferers like Dallas Braden. The Claritin D, the D stands for Dallas, has 2 powerful ingredients in just one pill that relieve your allergy symptoms and decongest your nose so you can breathe better. Dallas, how's the D working for you right now?
It's much better. It is much. I'm in a much better place than I was 2 days ago.
Yeah,
2 days ago.
There you go.
You guys are having.
Is it the temperature changes for you? What's up with that?
I actually, you know what? I was going to ask you a similar question because I found out
Sure.
That there's a lot of oak trees out here in this region, and they haven't had a good rain in a while. They told me, and so they said that they just had a good rain, and that has knocked all of the pollen off of the trees, and it's just been crushing people here locally. So I was going to ask you. Do you guys have allergies kicking off in Boston right now?
Yeah. Not kicking off. I mean, I feel like I'm in a constant state of suffering from allergies. I get them bad. I get them real bad, like to the point where I don't know if I'm sick or not.
Well, I figured something was happening because, I mean, I'm going to be out there, in July, and I had gotten a text from a dear sweet lady friend of mine out there in Boston, and she had asked me if I was.
Who is it?
Well, Ellen asked me if I was bringing the D. And I was like,
she has bad allergies.
Yeah. So that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I was like, no, Ellen, you know me, always strapped with the D, and I'll be absolutely packing when I roll into Boston. So
yeah. My mom blows her nose weird. She's like,
it's cute.
Let me see if I can make the noise without actually blowing my. Like she'll do like a. That's how she blows her nose.
Oh
yeah, she fucking. I'll just straight up.
It shocked the shit out of me. Woke me up one night. It's like a carburetor. It's like a carburetor. I've never seen somebody kickstart their nose before.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's different. Like like I'm sure Dallas, you're getting used to this, right? Like when you have multiple children. You kind of get used to their foot patterns. Like you can just hear.
Are you dad explaining to me right now?
Yeah, like as dad, like you can hear a kid coming down the stairs, and by the pace and by the cadence,
thud.
you know which kid that is. Yeah, without having to look, I know who's blowing their nose because there's just very unique nose blowing experiences.
Because it sounds like the Daytona 500 is starting.
Yeah. This double action combination of prescription strength allergy medicine and the best decongestant available relieves sneezing, a runny nose, itchy and watery eyes, an itchy nose and throat, and sinus congestion and pressure with ease. Ready to live life as if you don't have allergies? It's time to live Claritin Clear. Fast and powerful relief is just a quick trip away. Find Claritin D at the pharmacy counter. Ask for Claritin D at your local pharmacy counter. You don't even need a prescription. Go to Claritin.com right now for a discount so you can live Claritin Clear. Use as directed. Yeah, man. Allergies are a motherfucker. Yeah. Like I get them bad. Shout out to the D.
Yeah.
Because without that, I don't know. I would just feel like I was sick all the time.
And I got to tell you, these are not little D's. It's a sizable D you're taking down.
That's a notable D. Yeah.
Doing the Lord's work though. The D.
Jeremiah Estrada. Did you see this last night?
Fucking 13 punch outs.
13 consecutive.
That's stupid.
13 consecutive strikeouts, all of them swinging. The previous record was 11 consecutive strikeouts. So he broke that record and he ended his outing with a strikeout. So the streak is technically still ongoing. The next time that he takes the mound, the streak will be continuing if he's able to strike out the leadoff batter. So yes, it is 13 consecutive strikeouts, all of which are like that. Like, I guess, striking out 13 consecutive batters is impressive. Doing it all, like, it's not even like, 11 of 13. No, all 13 were swinging strikeouts.
You know what? I feel the same way about swinging strikeouts, almost the way I do about caught looking. And because there's just such a level of deception. And I know that you can look at certain at-bats and see a swing where he just misses a fastball, right? Fouls it off and it's caught. And it's like, well, was he that far off? Was he that? I mean, he actually got a little bit of the bat on the ball. And then there's like the Javi Baez swing and misses, right? Where that ball would have been behind a left-handed batter and Javi's still swinging at shit. Like, those are different types of swing and misses. So the deception that comes with missing a baseball by 6 inches, like you just have no shot. And then the deception where, I was looking for one spot or looking for another pitch and I did not get that. I got something else. And now I look like I have no clue what I'm doing. So 13 straight times, dudes have been like, there it is. There it's not. Gone.
I'm just glad we brought him up on this podcast. You know what I mean? We told people to look out for this guy. And
we did.
Fucking here he is, dude. Batters are 1 for 17 with 13 strikeouts off of his splitter.
Yeah, the splitter
revolution and all that this season, but they're
hitting 0.59. 0.59 really against the split. Well, they jack it up to 111 against the slider, Jayhay.
Yeah, he's he's pretty good. They all of a sudden, it's amazing. Not amazing because we know how bullpens work, but they just moved on. It feels like from the whole Josh Hader thing, and in the blink of an eye, the Padres have like an absolutely ferocious back of the bullpen again. It just seems like the Padres just generate these relievers at a rate that very few other teams do. And between Estrada and Robert Suarez, who's been a lot better this season than he was in his first campaign, they have it again. And this guy's a big part of that. 13 straight strikeouts.
What's his story again? Where did Estrada come from? It was like he wasn't a Rule 5 guy, right? No?
Estrada? I don't think so.
Yeah, it was some sort of like improbable journey to the big leagues.
Well, he was drafted by the Cubs in 2017 and then was selected off of waivers by the Padres in November of 23. Got it. Earlier this season. That's I mean, I'm not personally playing the like look at that mistake game because obviously I didn't know who Jeremiah Estrada was prior to this season, but like not a great look for the Cubs to have a thoroughly mediocre bullpen with some real back of the bullpen issues ongoing, and to have had this guy on your roster at the major league level over a stretch last season. And he was terrible last year and he had 12 walks and 10 2/3 innings. He had swing and miss, but he didn't have swing and miss like this. It's just, obviously the Padres have, and Estrada have made changes, but damn, that's a miss.
Well, I mean, you go back and look at, just looking at some of his numbers though, like pitch usage type stuff, Jayhay. Last year, 199 four-seam fastballs. So he was throwing the fastball 84% of the time. Now, granted, he's had more opportunities this year, but he threw more fastballs, or he's thrown 133 this year. The split, the slider, much more a part of what he's doing, or at least.
Well, he didn't throw the split last year. That's probably the headliner here, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. This is a new, because I think he had a changeup. And then spread them out, start dropping that bitch down.
Last thing for me, Shohei Ohtani would love to play in the next World Baseball Classic, he said, "I hope to be selected. The more important thing is to remain in the top ranks." As if, like, in his mind, he doesn't know if he'll be good enough in 2026 to play on the team.
Do you think that he meant top ranks for himself or top ranks for the team?
Himself. He said, "I hope to be selected." like they're in 2026, they're just gonna be like, Ohtani, no, no.
Well, I mean, would you expect any other answer from him though?
No,
Right.
no,
Right.
no. Like he's
Right. This is the whole,
that's
you know,
Shohei being Shohei.
God willing, provided I'm healthy and I perform up to a point where my teammates feel like I can help them, I would love, love, love to be a part of that team. Yeah. Said another way, you know who the fucking big dog is.
I don't think I can participate just because I want to, but of course I hope I'll be selected. I think it's important to stay in the top tier there first. Yeah. So he's saying, like, I want to play. I just don't know if they'll want me on the team.
Yeah. See, I was thinking of that, like, yeah, you know, I want us to remain great, like Japan. So whether I'm a part of that or not, or I can help that or not, the most important thing is for them to maintain their level of eliteness. And if I can help that, you know, I'd love to. But if I'm not, then I get it. Them being great is what's important.
Yeah. Just thought it was funny. Jayhay!
What up, baby?
Yeah, you got some nugs for the people or
God.
what? Jesus Christ, stop holding out
No,
on
I'm
us.
ready to dump them. I'm ready to
Yeah.
dump them.
Dump them out. Dump them out.
Little Cubs 1-2 here. Ben Brown had probably his breakout performance in terms of national recognition last night. 7 no-hit innings with 10 strikeouts. But his good work goes back further than that, just in shorter samples. In his last 5 appearances, he has thrown 18 2/3 innings, 8 hits allowed, 1 run, 6 walks, 28 strikeouts. They're calling it downright Estradian.
Oh!
Yeah, thank you. Cubs pitchers individually, I know they've had the Cubs offense has been frustrating for fans. Cubs pitchers, though, there are currently 9 individual pitch types this season, league-wide, with whiff rates of 50% or higher. That's in a minimum of 25 plate appearances. 3 of those 9 individual pitches are Cubs pitchers. Mark Leiter Jr.'s splitter, Jordan Wicks' changeup, and Ben Brown's knuckle curve, which was on display last night. Sticking with that dominant swing and miss theme. I know they're on different teams, but that's not really the point here. Jeremiah Estrada, he came up. Mason Miller, as he does every podcast, has come up. Those two, so far this season, have combined for 40 1/3 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, and 75 strikeouts. Okay? Now, this is very specific, but I wanted to bring some context to just how dominant 2 individual relievers going at the same time are right now. There has never been a case in MLB history of 2 pitchers having overlapping stretches with 28 strikeouts or more and 10 or fewer base runners allowed over a 12 appearance stretch, which both Estrada and Miller have going actively right now. The only other instance of pitchers doing that, even in the same season, let alone at the same time within the same season, is Josh Hader and Chad Green in 2019. That's how dominant these 2 guys are. That's the state of Major League Baseball offense and pitching right now. Shota Imanaga goes later today. He had his last start rained out. He's 5-0 with a 0.84 ERA. The only pitchers since earned runs became an official statistic in 1912. The only pitchers who have posted an ERA of 1 or below and remained unbeaten through their first 10 starts, which Imanaga obviously has a chance to do, are Juan Marichal in 1966. And any guesses?
Oh, what was it? The
Eddie
one
Seacott. Seacott in
Ah,
1919. That was the 1919 White Sox.
White Sox.
Corey Seager has 7 homers over his last 7 games. Not to be confused with Devers' streak. He has not done it in 7 straight games. 7 homers in 7 games. Seager joins Joey Gallo, Josh Hamilton, Ian Kinsler, Kevin Mensch, Alex Rodriguez, Rafael Palmeiro, and Frank Howard as the only players in franchise history to have 7 or more homers over a 7-game span.
Franchise history.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's still a pretty lengthy list for people who have done
It is actually a pretty lengthy list.
Yeah, was that like 8 guys who have done that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he's the 8th guy. That is a lot.
That's a lot.
Maybe I could double down on that nug and see which team has the most such players to have had streaks like this.
7 homers in 7 games.
I'm sure that'll get like 3 or 4 likes. Ohtani. Ohtani has a 713 OPS over his last 17 games, going back to May 8th. That is his worst 17-game stretch by OPS since May 16th to June 2nd of last season, where he had a 686 OPS. So you know what? He'll be okay.
Only $680 million to go on that deal.
Oh my God. What a fucking albatross. Max Fried had another dazzling start last night.
My God.
He's the first Braves pitcher since Julio Teheran in 2014, so 10 years ago, to have 3 or more starts of 8+ innings pitched and 1 or fewer earned runs through a team's first 52 games. So obviously very specific, but we have not seen this mix of length and dominance in starts by a Braves pitcher in 10 years to start the season. Jake Irvin, he was on the other side of that start for the Nationals. He is the first Nationals pitcher since Max Scherzer in 2021 to have a start of 10+ strikeouts and 0 runs allowed, but to receive a no decision. Tough break. And some Joe Ram love, who I am overdue to shower with praise on this podcast this season.
You mean Barry?
What?
I said, you mean Barry?
You mean Barry?
What do you mean?
He said he's better than Barry Bonds the other day.
I did?
No, Jose Ramirez.
He said he's better than Barry Bonds?
Yes.
Oh, I completely missed that.
I only saw the graphic.
I would say he's not.
I did not.
Yeah, the graphic through their first whatever game, like thousands.
He
said I'm better than Barry Bonds. Yeah, he's joking.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I did see that graphic. It was like a lot of counting stats and stuff like that, right? Yeah. I mean, listen. Quick aside before I do the Joe Ram stat, like apples and oranges a little bit, but I got mad that John Morosi said that Salvador Perez is for sure on, or no doubt on, a Hall of Fame track right now. Obviously, we could do a Salvador Perez conversation another time, but among many, many people that fans will have to get comfortable with as Hall of Fame players, if Salvador Perez is going to be allowed in the door, Jose Ramirez is already in the fucking museum then. He's already in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's an active
There should already be an exhibit about Jose Ramirez in the Hall of Fame in 2024 if that's where Salvador Perez's career is headed. Anyway, because frankly, you'd rather have what you've gotten from Jose Ramirez already than the entirety of Salvador Perez's career. Jose Ramirez has 56 RBI. I know, whatever, RBI, still cool. Only instances in the last decade of baseball, league-wide, where a batter had 56 or more RBI through their first 54 games are Joe Ram himself in 2022 and Yordan in 2019. That's the last decade. The only other Cleveland players in franchise history to do so is Manny Ramirez in both 99 and 2000. So his rate of driving in runs is as high as we've seen in the game over the last decade, and as high as we've really ever seen in Cleveland franchise history. I would love it from a stat chasing perspective. Obviously, it would be good for Cleveland if he did this, but I would love it if he made a run at some sort of like most RBI since record, because I do think that's that's one of those that I think would be kind of fun to watch happen. Even if we're all on the same page that, RBI is a very imperfect stat in context and a lot of it is out of your control. But anyway, Joe Ram, another down ballot MVP season. And those are the Nuggs.
I don't know when it became not cool
Yeah,
to
I will fight that
appreciate
fight.
the RBI.
I don't
I'll
think
fight
it's
that
not-
fight every day. Every day
It's
I'll
not
fight that fight.
Yeah,
cool.
like
It's not cool. I just think there was a proper
it's
push.
the nerds took it over. Like the nerds were just like, well, we don't like that's
Hold on.
that's an old school stat that we don't like
Yeah.
anymore. But like I think with the RBI, I mean, yeah, you can look at batting average and OPS and whatever. It's like, yeah, if a guy, it's a batting average for a reason, because on average he gets a hit in 30% of the time or whatever. But then if you look at, like, you could look at a 300 hitter and a 250 hitter, and you look at their numbers in situations with runners in scoring position, and they may vary drastically. Like that, like guys perform differently. Like it is more difficult to get a hit with runners in scoring position because A, the pressure's on you, the hitter, and B, the pitcher is trying harder. Like, I mean, Dallas, maybe you can speak to this better than I can, but like I'm sure you had an intensity about you where you were pitching like every pitch could have been your last. But there are definitely guys in the league that I would imagine have upped their effort now that there is traffic, because they're not trying to allow these runners versus, hey, base is empty, I can kind of just do my thing here. Like there is a skill to hitting with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, and it's not that you're upping your effort on the mound. There's
Upping your focus.
That's it. It's the
Yeah.
focus. Everything just becomes honed, and you are trying to execute within millimeters is what you're trying to accomplish.
I will say though that if both the pitcher and the hitter are focusing extra, that kind of cancels itself out, doesn't it? Like,
Absolutely.
so I'm going to defend the nerds here a little bit because, like,
Well, let me ask you something
the
before
initial pushback was absolutely correct, because as we've identified in a lot of the off-season segments that we've done, some of the worst season-ending awards, some of the worst MVPs ever bestowed are guys who had very, very high RBI totals, which were, as much as anything, a reflection of the offenses that they played in, because you know what we don't assign the same level of sex appeal or clutch status or whatever to? Run scoring. Like, you never hear these guys who score lots of runs, like, kind of canonized in the same way that you have these RBI producers done in the same way. And like, I'm not saying that there isn't a skill about hitting with runners in scoring position. I'm not saying that RBIs aren't important, but like Juan Gonzalez winning the MVP in 1998, in large part because he just led the league in RBI, is a really bad way to reach the conclusion for who the most valuable player was in a given season. And I think we now have so many tools at our disposal that shed light on how the RBIs are coming about. Like, there are plenty of instances where guys rack up 100 RBI seasons who are nothing special with runners in scoring position that season. In fact, they're below average in some cases with runners in scoring position that season. They are just given so many fucking opportunities to drive in runs that eventually they hit 100 RBI. A very good example of that is Joe Carter. Go look at Joe Carter's seasons and tell me that those 100 RBI seasons are indicative of a guy who was really and truly very, very productive.
Jay,
it's just,
let's play a little game, Jay.
okay.
It's a little chicken and the egg.
Okay.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have the guy who gets on base, or would you rather have the guy who has proven to be able to drive those guys on base in? Who do you want?
Well,
you get
okay. If you're asking
time
me,
out.
I want the first guy then. I want the first fucking guy, because what you're asking me is, would I rather have a guy with on-base skills, or would I rather have a guy who is in a position to drive in lots of runs? Because what I mostly don't believe is that an ability to accumulate RBI is not anywhere near the same level of stickiness in terms of skill and statistic that an actual on-base percentage is. It's just not. Because what I will also tell you is that if this guy is getting on-base percentage at a very high clip, this person number one, if you were to put him in the 3 or 4 hole and give him all the RBI opportunities and put the other guy up there in the number 2 spot, I think mostly what you would see is that their statistics just flip. And he gets a lot of RBI and the other guy scores more runs.
Because I think it's one thing to get to first base, and that's what we credit them for, is getting on base. But from there, that's not technically scoring position. So we need somebody who has proven time and time again with a guy on second base or third base that he has the ability to find a hole. He, more times than not, whether it's cutting the swing down, and I talk about this with a guy like Miguel Cabrera a lot, right? That was a guy who was in scoring position himself at home plate. So it didn't matter really if the guy was on first base or not. But when that guy was on second base or third base and less than 2 outs, the Miguel Cabrera that you had to deal with is a very different Miguel Cabrera than with nobody on base.
Sure.
Because his ability to hit a hole, his ability to approach the baseball and attack the baseball based on what the defense was giving him, the game situation, which is a runner on base and we need him in, Miguel Cabrera, more times than not, was either driving him in or giving you a productive out with runners with less than 2 outs where he would move up.
That's because Miguel Cabrera is literally one of the most talented and skilled hitters that we've ever seen in Major League Baseball history, and certainly that we have seen in our lifetimes. The issue that I'm talking about really is somebody more like Ryan Howard. You know why Ryan Howard got lots of RBIs? I can guarantee you it wasn't because he knew where to spray the ball where the fielders weren't going to be. Have you ever seen Ryan Howard hit? That wasn't who he was. He got all those RBIs because the guy could pop a lot of home runs in a very home run friendly stadium. And he had 2 guys who are borderline Hall of Famers getting on base right in front of him. Chase, and who were outstanding base runners, almost above all else in Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley.
Hall of Famer.
So that's why Miguel Cabrera
look at Schwarber's deal. Look at Schwarber's deal, right? The guy hits under fucking 200 and is knocking on the door of 100 RBIs.
Well, he hits 40 homers. Like he's
right.
Right. And so I'm saying like Kyle Schwarber does not have an innate ability to drive in runs. Right. So like Miguel Cabrera is certainly an example. Like if you're asking me, would I rather have an on-base guy or Miguel Cabrera? I would rather have Miguel Cabrera. If you're asking me whether I would rather have Jimmy Rollins or Chase Utley or whether I would have Ryan Howard, my answer every single time is going to be that I'd rather have Chase Utley or Jimmy Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as those guys went away, Ryan Howard's ability to drive in runs magically stopped happening.
Yep. I want the guy who is creating the opportunity, right? Not the guy who has to prove that he can get that job done, because how do we get there? If you're going to be good at your job, that means I've got to be good at mine. So I've got to get on base to allow you to do what you do. And if I'm not creating those opportunities, then what do you have?
And I think one of the beautiful things about the stars of today's game is that there is less and less of a distinction between the 2 types of players that we're talking about, the 2 archetypes of player that we're talking about. More and more, you're seeing guys like
Bobby Witt Jr.
or Shohei Ohtani or Bobby Witt Jr. or whoever it might be, like that are capable of hitting in the middle of the order and are also capable of being excellent base runners and giving you 20, in some cases 40 or 50 stolen bases in a season. So I think that's great for the game. And I think, that I also think it kind of chips away at the idea of like a guy being a proven run producer. I think that's more often than not either one thing, a great hitter who just happened to hit in that part of the lineup, or a good, not great player who was given years and years and thousands of plate appearances hitting in the number 3, 4, or 5 spots in the order, appropriately or not.
What would the impact of a player like, I mean, you take the skill sets of a Chase Utley, of a Jimmy Rollins, of a Gunnar Henderson, of a Mookie Betts, and you take those guys and put them in the 50s and 60s. And I'm not talking about, the baseball and any of that and competition. I'm just talking about their ability to drive the ball out of the ballpark, their ability to run the bases, their ability to hit for average, their ability to do all of those things, like what does that player look like then? And how do you even react by seeing a player capable of doing those things? Because it feels like what we're talking about right now is raising the baseline, the base level for an average superstar. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So like what we're getting from Gunnar and Mookie and the guys that we've talked about, like that is jaw-dropping type of stuff. And we're seeing it more. Like we'll have a Bobby Witt Jr., Gunnar Henderson conversation about what these dudes are providing speed, power-wise. That is what we're after in today's game because we want a more rounded athlete, right? The idea of having a Schwarber on every team, that doesn't exist. Not every team is willing to do that. There aren't that many Kyle Schwarbers running around that have the ability to do what he does and sustain it to the point where he's part of a productive lineup. So it feels like when we're talking about all of these athletes and what they're capable of doing today, when you stop and just take a fucking 20-second timeout and pull back, you're like, damn, dude, we have some of the most elite baseball talent our game has ever seen right now.
No question.
Well, I always enjoy the conversations that we somehow get to them
Yeah.
where they're not on the rundown. It's just like, didn't expect to have an RBI debate today. I didn't expect Joe Carter slander on today's podcast. But we got there.
Yeah. No way Jayhay just showed up at Joe Carter's door and was like, World Series rings? Those are mine now. You fucking loser.
Yeah.
No, man, he can have his
Hand him over, dude.
that moment's insane. I would never take that moment away from him, but you know, the man did have 102 RBI in 1997 when he hit 234 with a 683 OPS. So I dare somebody to tell me that was some sort of fucking clutch season or something like that. No.
Well, hey, they got guys on base and they didn't want to face the guy behind him. They wanted none of Ed Sprague.
Don't remember whether Ed was on the team or not in 97.
That actually is impressive to have an OPS in the 600s and driving 100 runs.
He hit 263 with runners in scoring position, just so you're aware. So he did not.
So he played up.
Yes.
Played up to the
Dead
situation.
cat bounce.
Jay.
Yep. He played up. Yep.
He did.
Yeah. He saved his worst performance, 217 batting average with a 629 OPS with nobody on.
Yeah. What year? 93, Jayhay?
97 was that season. Joe Carter is actually filled with these sorts of seasons, but he also had a 1990 season, as you just said, with 115 RBI and a 681 OPS, which is actually worse than what I said to begin with. So yeah, he finished 17th in the MVP that season, by the way. So just as we consider MVP votes and, you know, people who were robbed, just consider that Joe Carter had a 681 OPS and got 17th in the MVP. And was not a shortstop for people who don't remember Joe Carter or a catcher.
Yeah. And just so you know, like I said, it was Sprague who was protecting him. I don't know that Sprague hit behind him in the lineup, but that's my story.
Dallas, any final thoughts today?
Yeah, you know what? Shout out Mitch Spence, who Rule 5 selection for the Oakland Athletics. Started a lot in the minor leagues, has gotten an opportunity to join the starting rotation for the Oakland Athletics, and last night carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning. And I mentioned that because it feels like there were 14 fucking games yesterday where somebody was carrying a no-hitter into the 5th inning, 6th inning. This happens every day. But just for me, watching a guy create an opportunity for himself by pitching well enough to be identified, to be selected in the Rule 5, brought over, has pitched his ass off out of the bullpen. And like I said, now getting a shot to fill the rotation, born out of necessity and born out of how he's produced. But last night took a big step in sort of keeping himself in the conversation for the starting rotation. And for a guy, as I mentioned, coming from the Yankees, coming from the Rule 5, like you're excited about that. You're excited about starting baseball games in the big leagues when you thought that might not be your lot in life or your lot in this game. So tip of the cap to Mitchie.
What about Alex Wood?
You know, I do want to take the time because I think it bears repeating.
Just shout out to
that Jayhay, if you don't have a couple guys log the
who are really bad.
I know you guys. Well, let me ask you this: Did you guys watch Mason's outing last night?
Yep.
You see anything? See anything that you haven't seen?
Guy's got a new pitch. Some word on the street. He's got a new toy.
Oh man, I can't tell you. I can't tell you the feeling that came over me when because I was down there. I was watching bullpens, and then.
Does that mean he's an asshole? Like if
yes. And I said because I'm so glad you asked that because I looked at him and because I mean the conversation's been happening for a while, but so I was standing down there and I was just watching him and Urseg play catch, which is like probably the most electric game of catch in baseball, by the way. But I'm sitting there talking to them.
Yeah, they're just throwing 100-mile-an-hour seeds at each other.
Yeah, it was the same thing watching fucking Lou Trevino and Blake Trinan play catch with each other. Blake Trinan's got a fucking sinker that's moving 26 inches, fucking 40 inches of vert. Whoa! And yeah, Trevino's throwing the same shit up there. But so I'm standing there and, watching Mace throw, watching Ursig throw, and Mace looks over at me and he goes, and he just like gives me the head nod. He's like, hey. So I get a little closer. I'm like, what do you got? He's like, think we're going to take a new pitch for a spin. And I was like, what? Oh, what? Are you going to you're going to do it? Are you going to break it out? Or you're going to do it? You're going to do it. It's like, yeah. And I just looked at him and I said, you splanking me? Are you splanking me? And he goes, we're splanking.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh God. Oh God. And
do you have any pitch data on it from last night?
I didn't even, honestly, Jared, I didn't even look at it because I was just so like, I was just glued because I didn't want to miss it. And I knew when it was coming.
Right.
And he threw it. And it's great because our radio guys are right next to us. Right. And so the count got to where it was. And I fucking banged on the window next door. Boom, boom, boom. And they both looked over at me. And I just went like this. I went, like, watch right now. And he threw the pitch and he threw it and they both were like this. Like, what was that? And I was like, and our guy, Vince Contronio, he looked at me and he goes, like he's motioning like split. And I was like, and I was like, ah! And then I spread my fingers. I went from this and I went, and he was like,
yeah,
Splinker. And I was like, oh, dude. Yeah. But he threw it in catch play. And I was like, bro, you can't do that. Like, you don't even need that. Why are you? So to your point about
you don't even need that's the main takeaway.
You're an asshole.
You don't even need
you're a
that.
bully.
Yeah.
That's why I said it the other day. Mason Miller is a straight up bully. He's a bully.
Yeah. But all that, like, psychologically, I'm reading into this, and like, this man is addicted to embarrassing hitters. Like, if you are striking out, if almost 70% of the outs that you've recorded this year have been strikeouts, and you're like, that's not enough. Oh, then you're a psychopath.
You should. I mean, like,
you're a psycho.
It doesn't look like it, maybe on the TV, but. Because I talk to the dude every day, right? And I know his his mannerisms, everything. When you see him out on the mound, you can tell when he's frustrated. You can tell when he's pissed off. And it doesn't look any different really than any other guys. But then you think about it and you're like, okay, that was 102 and it was fouled off. And now now I can see him. Now he's pissed. Because he fouled off 102, and I looked over at my partner Jenny, and I was like, "Jenny, he ain't happy. He ain't happy." And she said, "Well, he's gonna dial up the 103." And sure as shit, next pitch 103. Like you can sense it on him. He's there. That's why I called him a soul snatcher because he is there to just fucking wipe you off the face of the earth.
Dude literally has struck out 70% of the outs that he's recorded, and he's like, I need another weapon. That's not good enough.
You just wait till he starts dialing this thing up. It's going to be unfair.
What's all this shit about people saying like, oh, just wait until we make him a starter again? Don't do that. Let him be the special attraction. Like, why would you mess with it? Why would you put him in the rotate? Would you do that, Dallas?
For me, that's a much deeper conversation than me just telling you what I would do with that. Like because you have to factor in his health. You have to factor in future health. There's compensation that I know matters to him, which I understand as well. So if I'm looking to build for the future, there's a lot of other conversations we need to have as opposed to just, oh, I think he'd be great starting. No shit. Like if I could have Mariano Rivera run that fucking cutter out there for 9 innings and have the success that he's had with it in just the 1 inning bursts, wouldn't that be great to turn Mo into a starter? Of course. So you got to be careful with that.
I agree. Don't fuck with it.
Yeah.
Keep him right there. Jayhay, final thoughts?
I have final thoughts quickly.
Yeah.
Just quick update on the Joe Carter slander. That 681 OPS and 683 OPS are the 3rd and 4th lowest OPSs ever in a 100 RBI season. The only 2 ahead of it are Albert Pujols in 2017 with the Angels. He had 101 RBI with a 672 OPS, and Ruben Sierra for Dallas's Oakland A's in 1993, 678 OPS, 101 RBI. Those are my final thoughts. Enjoy the day of baseball.
Yes. Jake's takes?
Family Feud tomorrow. Discord will post the survey link tonight. Let's see if we can break the all-time record. 3 minutes was the record last week. Let's try to get it down to 2.
Okay.
Oh,
Challenge issued by Jake.
I just want Jake to maybe do a double final thought here. Can you back me up on that Skenes promo, man? Just so it doesn't seem like I was telling people a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, if you're listening right now, you probably got 30 minutes to get that in. It's over 0.5
Well, it's tonight.
pitches.
He's the game 2 starter.
Oh,
yeah,
he's
game
game 2.
2.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, over 0.5 pitches, free money, Bob guarantee on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, the Bob guarantee.
Oh, if Jake slaps the Bob guarantee on the box, it's a go.
Yeah. All right. There you go. He's got to hit higher than 0.5 pitches.
Yeah.
He's got to
just
throw
gotta-
Uno pitch.
Yeah, you just got to go 0-2.
He's got to throw on.
0-2 leadoff hitter, cash money.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. Family
Wait
Feud.
a second. Did you somehow say that he needed to hit 2 pitches?
Yeah, he did say that. He needs to throw 1 pitch, Dallas.
God damn, man.
Yeah,
Easiest math ever.
Stockton high. Come on.
I couldn't
Let's
help
say-
it. I
First
couldn't
of all,
help it.
This man's on drugs. Number 1. Number 2,
I'm
Stockton.
not on drugs.
There's no way.
All you gotta do is hit 2. Just get the 0-2.
If he gets the 0-2, then he's not wrong. Technically,
Still
if he got
just
the 0-2, he
I
gets
was
it-
thinking
he
in
gets
my
the
head, I
0-2.
was thinking 1.5 batters or 1.5.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, we know what you thought. We know what you thought.
Some promos seem so easy. None of them are easy enough for our boy DB.
Did I
though.
just lose the fucking half pitch?
Only person to lose it?
Yeah.
Give me the one where he's got to throw 2. This is too easy.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Back tomorrow with Family Feud. We will see you then. Bye-bye.
Wow.